Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Izzat bin Muhammad Salehi. My matric number is 271184. Today I will present about the process in construction technology. So my present based on 5 criteria. First is project life cycle. Second is activities involved during construction project. The third one is key players. Next is about project planning and controlling, and the last one is about a successful construction. The project lifecycle has 4 general phases: initiating, planning, performing, and closing the project, which you can see in the figure on the slide. The time span of each phase and the associated level of efforts will vary depending on the specific project. Project life cycles can vary in length from a few weeks to several years, depending on the content, complexity, and the magnitude of the project. Initiating phase. In the initiating phase, projects are identified and selected and then authorized using a document referred to as a project charter. The first phase of the project life cycle is involve the identification of a need, problem, or opportunity, and can result in the sponsor authorizing a project to address the identified needs or solve the problems. It may take several months to identify the needs, gather data, and define the project objective. It is very important to define the right need. Need are often defined as part of an organization strategic planning process. Organizations must have a project selections process to determine what project to pursue. The project charter includes rationale or justification for the project, project objective and expected benefits, general requirement and conditions such as amount of fund authorized, required completion dates, major deliverables, and required review and approvals and key assumption. If it decides to use external resource and organizations develop a request for proposal or RFP, asking contractors to submit proposals describing how to address the needs, associated costs, and schedule. Planning phase. The planning phase is the second phase of the project life cycle. It includes defining the project scope, identifying resource, developing a schedule and budget, and identifying risks, all of which make up the baseline plan for doing the project work. Show how the project scope will be accomplished within budget and on schedule. Plan the works and work the plan. The detailed plan result in a baseline such as scope, deliverables, activities, sequence, resource, responsibilities, duration, schedule, budget, and risks. Benchmark the baseline plan to allow for comparison with actual progress. Include the people that will actually do the work in the planning process. They have knowledge of detailed activities to be done. Participation also build commitment. Performing phase. In the performing phase, the project plan is executed and work tasks are carried out to produce all the project deliverables and to accomplish the project objective. The project progress is monitored and controlled to assure the works remain on schedule and within budget. The scope is fully completed according to specification and all deliverables meet acceptance criteria. Any change need to be documented, approved, and may be incorporated into an update baseline plan. The third phase of the life cycle project, the project manager lead the project team to complete the project. The pace of the project increase as more and various resources are involved in the project. It is necessary to monitor and control the project progress by comparing accomplishment to the baseline plan. Corrective action are taken if a project is off track. Change are managed and controlled through documentation, approval, and communication with agreement between the sponsor and contractor. Some change is trivial. The end of the phase, customers start satisfaction is achieved when the works and deliverables are accepted by the customer and the project objective is accomplished. Several alternative actions may be evaluated to determine the best approach to bring the project back within the scope, schedule, and budget constraint of the project. Determine if any sacrifice to scope, budget, schedule, or quality are necessary to accomplish the project. The cost of change vary the timing in the project. Generally, the later in the project, the change are identified, the greater their effects on accomplishing the project objective. And the last one is closing phase. Uh, in the closing phase, project evaluation are conducted, lesson learned, identified, and documented to help improve performing and future projects. And project document are organized and achieved. This is the final phase of the project life cycle. It includes a variety of actions such as collecting and making final payment, staff recognition and evaluation, conducting a post-project evaluation, documenting lesson learned, achieving project document, using a knowledge base to record lesson learned and post-project evaluation. A knowledge base is helpful to retrieve lesson and information that can help with doing business with the customer or other customer in the future. Uh, the second criteria is about activities involved during construction projects. There are 11 different types of construction activities. One is marking and grading. Marking is one of the first construction activities, which involves marking the area of the plot for reference. This helps the workers to always be able to orient themselves in terms of their workspace. Grading helps to ensure that buildings are even, last long, and maintain maximum support. There may be particular circumstances when something is being constructed that would require a slight incline or decline to the base surface. In this case, it will be very important that the incline is exactly on the correct angle. It is matter of safety and plays a major role in construction management. Grading use big machine to help ensure the space is level or that it is at the appropriate angle that it is supposed to be. Excavation. This is a fairly broad term. There are several different types of construction activities in excavation. In general, the term involves moving earth or rock out of a certain area to prepare it for construction. This includes basement excavation, which digs the earth out to prepare for a basement to be built. It also includes mud, rock, and topsoil excavation, all of which include removing the substance from the workspace. Concreting. The process of pouring concrete is another major activity in construction. It is often used for the base of buildings, for roads, bridges, pipes, and many other applications. One of the reasons it has become so popular in the construction industry is that concrete is easy to make in large quantities. It changes state so that it's easy to work with and manipulate. One of the first activities that come to many people's minds when construction is mentioned is carpentry. This is the general cutting and installation of material that will be used for the construction of a structure. Carpentry used to be word that describe individuals working with wood specifically, but now carpentry means working with several different materials. Brick masonry. Brick have been used in construction for decades and are still used often today as a highly efficient material. Brick masons lay the bricks, ensuring that they are laid in a way that is structurally sound. For example, laying each brick one of top of the other allows for crack to go all along the entire walls. If the bricks are offset, as you will see, it makes severe cracking of the mortar less likely. Plumbing. In structures that require plumbing, there are specific plumbing activities that must occur to ensure they will function properly. These include putting in piping and fixtures for both incoming potable water and outgoing waste. Welding. The activity of attaching two metals together using heat is welding, a crucial action in construction used to bind metals, especially for structural purposes. There are different types of welding which can be used for different types of metal and different conditions. All welding is extremely skilled and can be difficult to master. It is also dangerous, so it is important that construction companies have strict safety guidelines. Electrical. Individuals working as electricians on a construction product are responsible for ensuring that the structure will ultimately have full access to electricity from the transformer provided by the electrical company, which is located close to the building. There are several steps that go into the installation of electricity in a build, including temporary electrical needs, raw installation, and finally the real installation which will be used. Roof laying. Roofing is an important construction activity for ensuring the protection of a structure from the element and can help provide stability for the structure. There are different methods used for roofing. Shingles are common for residential roofs, but there are also metal, polycarbonate, and steel roofs, as well as many other which are used for different purposes. Glazing. This activity is basically anything to do with glass windows and door in a construction project. The term is used broadly to reference the installation of pretty much any glass involved in the construction of a particular structure. Last one is finishing. Finishing in construction means putting on the final touch of a structure in order to prepare it to be used. This includes, but is not limited to activities like glazing, flooring, painting, wallpapering, and plastering. It is most often about final aesthetic touch and slightly less about safety and function, although all finishing activities are crucial parts of a final construction product. The third criteria in this presentation is about key players. There are many stakeholder organizations in the construction industry. Here we have listed the construction organizations that play an important part in the realization of construction projects. First one is the client. The first type of construction organization is the client-based organization. The CIOB Code of Practice for Program Management in the built environment defines a client as the entity, individual, or organization commissioning and funding the project directly or indirectly. The Health and Safety Authority further defines a client as the person or company with the controlling interest in the project. Generally, the client will retain a significant level of control over the assessment and appointment of designer and contractor for a project. Client can be Client can be a person or government who actually arrange the money for a particular project. They will provide the funds and project scope as a project launch idea. The second one is the contractor. Traditionally, clients have been engaging contractor to carry out building project construction works. These are the people with the technical know-how to get the structures off the ground. Considering the scale of the works being carried out, the contractors could be in several other categories such as main contractor and subcontractor, while the main contractor is concerned about all the works involved within a project and is accountable to the client. The subcontractor is often only responsible for a certain part of the works, such as electrical engineering, plumbing, or landscape. However, the contractor and subcontractor could be other titles which include principal contractor and prime contractor. The subcontractor could also be described based on what they do, such as if they are specialists in trades work, general works, domestic works, etc. Next is supplier. The business dictionary defines a supplier as a party that supplies goods or service. In construction, the goods include any material that go into a built structure, while service refer to all different work package agreed upon by a different parties pertaining to the development of the built structure. Recently, the industry has realized the importance of the supply chain and how this can be managed by when carrying out project activities. With the growth in off-site construction expected to continue, supply chain management is becoming more complex, time-consuming, and important to the successful delivery of a project. Consultant. A consultant is defined as a person who provides a professional or expert advice in a particular field of science or business to either an organization or individual. In construction, the advice varies from time to time depending on the stage of the project. For instance, at the very beginning of the project, the advice would be sought for design work by the architect or engineers. Advice would also be needed to define and set up the project. The client may also seek advice to prepare and produce tender document as well as the administration of the contract and for the inspection of the works. Despite the high consultancy fees, the consultant have advertised in their areas of professional jurisdiction. For instance, the client would seek advice for specific project from wide range of professionals such as architects, quantity surveyors, and structural service engineers. Consider these people work independently. Somehow it helps to minimize the bureaucracy and speed up the process of work by guaranteeing quality. This organization could be owned by a sole trader, partnership company, or unlimited holding companies and conglomerates. Project planning. Project planning is the act of creating a development plan for a construction project. In general, the goals of a construction project plans are as follows. Define the work tasks of each entity involved in the project. Illustrate the relationship between different work tasks and the individual entities that are performing the task. Make decisions about which technologies will be used to bring about the successful completion of the project, provide a comprehensive assessment of all resources required to complete a project, use the plan to arrive at a timeline and budget for the project. Construction planning is the process of figuring out the most efficient and cost-effective method of arriving at a satisfactory final project. Due to the fact that the project plan is also be used as a benchmark from which to derive drive a project cost estimate and project completion timeline. It needs to be as comprehensive as possible. So not only must a project planner assess all the materials and labor required to complete a construction project, but they must also schedule those tasks in a way that improve the efficiency of the project as a whole. Project control. Project control are process for gathering and analyzing project data to keep costs and schedule on track. The function of project control include initiating, planning, monitoring, and controlling, communicating, and closing out project costs and schedule. Ultimately, project control are interactive processes for measuring project status, forecasting likely outcome based on those measurements, and then improving project performance if those projected outcomes are unacceptable. Activities under the umbrella of project control may include aligning project with portfolio organization, goals and objectives, developing a work breakdown structure, collaborating on initial project schedule, developing a risk management plan, project budgeting and forecasting, monitoring project costs, feedback and reporting, optimizing project strategies to enable better outcome in the future. While a project may deal with many parameters such as quality, scope, etc., the discipline of project control focus on the cost and schedule factors, continuously monitoring for any risk to them. Hierarchically, project control nests under project management. A project controller could be reporting to project manager on a specific project or an entire portfolio of projects. Project control are integral to successful project management as it alert project stakeholder to potential trouble area and allow them to course correct if needed. For project control be success, they cannot be applied in spurt or in a vacuum. Rather, project control activities must run through the complete project life cycle for the initiation phase until closure to monitor and control the various factors that impact and cause student. Interviewing project control with the rest of project management provides timely insight that empower project stakeholders to make the right decision at the right time. There are many processes required to achieve project goals, from planning to controlling. With the right strategies, we can ensure the success of the project more easily. First is implement continuous planning. Construction managers should start planning long before a project begins and continue to revise and develop the plan until the project ends. The design, pre-construction, and procurement stage of each construction project require immense planning, and each may need to be revised as the next phase begins. Second, build an effective communication flow. Communication is crucial in every part of any construction project. Building an effective communication flow will facilitate coordination between all parties. Transparent communication will make the process smoother and reduce the number of emails and phone calls whenever there is an issue. One of the simplest ways to create an effective communication flow is using a centralized communication system. By synchronizing comments, photo, document, and calendar in one location, it can monitor update costs and scheduling change as they occur. The third one is re-evaluate your workflow. The purpose of construction project management is to ensure that the project is complete on time, within budget, and reach the target. However, even if the project runs well, it still have to evaluate it. There might be better ways to manage the project or overcome issues. Next, use an automated construction project management solution. No construction manager has the time to answer every email that comes in, send report to stakeholders manually, or answer questions from each party related to the budget or process progress by phones. Without an automated system, construction project management won't run efficiently. The last one is control costs the smarter way. The permits, which material and equipment required for projects are often exchanged between multiple financial sources and vendors. From the initial bidding process to the closing of a project, construction managers are responsible for tracking and monitoring all costs, especially those related to the initial budget. Construction projects, no matter how small they are, contain hundreds of moving parts and individual costs. It needs software to make it easier to manage and control expenses. A project management system helps to estimate the budget and revenue per project. This app also helps ensure proper budget allocation and accurate bill calculation. That's all from me. Thank you.